be able to stay home, brother. You will not be able to plug in, turn on, and cop out. You will not be able to lose yourself on Skag and skip out for beer during commercials because the revolution will not be televised. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution will not be brought to you by Xerox in 4 parts without commercial interruptions. The revolution will not show you pictures of Nixon blowing a bugle and leading a charge by John Mitchell, General Abrams, and Spyro Agnew to eat hog maws confiscated from a Harlem sanctuary. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution will not be brought to you by the Schaefer Award Theater and will not star Natalie Woods and Steve McQueen or Bullwinkle and Julia. The revolution will not give your mouth sex appeal. The revolution will not get rid of the nub. The revolution will not make you look 5 pounds thinner because the revolution will not be televised, brother. There will be no pictures of you and Willie Mae pushing that shopping cart down the block on the dead run or trying to slide that color TV into a stolen ambulance. NBC will not be able to predict the winner at 8:32 on report from 29 districts. The revolution will not be televised. There will be no pictures of pigs shooting down brothers on the instant replay. There will be no pictures of pigs shooting down brothers on the instant replay. There will be no pictures of Whitney Young being run out of Harlem on a rail with a brand new process. There will be no slow motion or still lights of Roy Wilkins strolling through Watts in a red, black, and green liberation jumpsuit that he has been saving for just the proper occasion. Green Acres, Beverly Hillbillies, and Hooterville Junction will no longer be so damn relevant, and women will not care if Dick finally got down with Jane on Search for Tomorrow, because black people will be in the street looking for a brighter day. The revolution will not be televised. There will be no highlights on the 11 o'clock news and no pictures of Harry armed women liberationists and Jackie Onassis blowing her nose. The theme song will not be written by Jim Webb or Francis Scott Key, nor sung by Glenn Campbell, Tom Jones, Johnny Cash, Engelbert Humperdinck, or The Rare Earth. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution will not be right back after a message about a white tornado, white lightning, or white people. You will not have to worry about a jump in your bedroom, the tiger in your tank, or the giant in your toilet bowl. The revolution will not go better with coke. The revolution will not fight germs that may cause bad breath. The revolution will put you in the driver's seat. The revolution will not be televised, will not be televised, will not be televised, will not be televised. The revolution will be no rerun, brothers. The revolution will be live.
I'm talking about Shabazz going crazy. People going crazy in these motherfuckers. Run that shit back, man.
Man made the car. Man thinks about a little bit of baby girl and our baby boy, and man makes them happy. But after man make everything, you know the man. To buy from other men. This is a man's world.
I'm talking about Shabazz going crazy. People going crazy in these motherfuckers. Run that shit back, man.
Man made the car. Man made the train. Man made the electrolyte. Man made the pump for the water.
Tonight, we're discussing Malcolm, and this is episode 8. No, this is season 8, episode 39 of Shabaka'S. We're joined by our Denver office. Okay, Brother Che and Kruma. Okay, greetings to you, Brother Che. Are you with us? Yes, sir. Okay, so. Okay, and we're supposed to be having, our usual haters call in and what have you. Our chat room is open for insults, hate mail, things of that nature right there. So in this timeline on here tonight, we're going to discuss his youth, his formative years, his early years, and we will also play back some of his speeches of the early 1960s. And we will then, if time permits, have an open mic discussion about his legacy in relation to current events of the 2020s. This episode is for those 18 years of age and over. This is episode 39 of season 8. This episode will also be semi-casted on StreamYard, Facebook, and YouTube. Okay, and as we know, when we discuss such individuals out of our past, okay, we get a lot of hate mail and what have you, but we knew the job was dangerous when we took it. As you know, he was born in 1925 in Omaha, Nebraska, which was a very, very racist-ass part of the U.S., and it probably still is now. And then, of course, as he stated in the opening of his autobiography, and I do have it somewhere around. Do you have the autobiography of Malcolm X, with your Brother Che, readily available?
Not readily available, no.
Okay, all righty. So I'm gonna, go through some of my books right here if I can. But as you know, he was born in Omaha, Nebraska, and then he had stated,
yes,
in the opening of his autobiography that,
he was born in Omaha, Nebraska in 1925.
Yes, sir. So, which means is that his century solar return will be next year. Okay, and yes, sir. And then, of course, there was a lot of controversy about Malcolm X when he was a minister in the Nation of Islam. But, however, we are mainly talking about his youth right now, and then his mother. After the death of his father, was put into a mental institution in Michigan when a family had moved from Omaha to Lansing.
And why did they move?
Father was bashed.
Yeah, why did they end up moving?
I'm sorry?
Why did they end up?
They ended up moving because the Ku Klux Klan had burned their house to the ground.
Right.
When his father was away, when he was lecturing in the church, of actually expressing some of the philosophies of Marcus Garvey at the time.
They were Garvey.
Stating that Africa, yes, sir, Africa for the African. Okay, and I will debate with any ass scratcher, any Yassa boss about why that. So Malcolm is that, well, you work good with your hands. Why don't you take up a trade, carpentry, metal work, or what have you? He says it's because you are a nigger, and a nigger don't become lawyers. Once again, his elementary school teacher told him is that you are a nigger, okay, and niggers do not become lawyers. After all, look what they did to Paul Robeson. He was a lawyer, you know, from Colgate University.
Yep.
You see what I mean? Okay. And then we invited, you know, some of our usual controversial guests. Okay. We did track down Sarge. He was issued orders to report here at 6 p.m. Pacific time, which would be 1800 hours. And he said that he would chime in, and Joe Gibson and what have you said that they were coming in as well, too. But, however, if they come in, they're more than welcome. If they do not come in, we are still going to tell this truth. And anybody is welcome to call in if you disagree or agree with what we say. It's because we research our stories. I talk about what I've lived through. I saw Malcolm X speak, you know, as a youngster. So he really did, in fact, exist. Okay. So then we're going to talk about, you know, how he was traveling around the country, speaking on behalf of the Nation of Islam and what have you.
So
and then, of course, we're going to mention.
So let the viewers know, how did Malcolm X get it hooked up with the Nation of Islam in the first place?
Okay, because Malcolm was in prison and he was getting letters from his younger brother by the name of Reginald, okay? And Reginald had told him, whatever you do, Malcolm, don't eat any more pork. And Malcolm said, why? Because his brother Reginald told him that there was this man out of Chicago by the name of Elijah Muhammad, who had wrote a book, I believe, called, wait a minute, scratch that. No, who was in Chicago. And he was referring to the white man as a blonde-haired, blue-eyed devil because of his mistreatment of our people on the plantation system during slavery and post-slavery. Now, we know to you OTBs that you do not like this truth, but we care and don't care, okay? Because you're not going to come on this platform and tell us about our history.
Right.
Period.
Right, Shabaka'S. So
understand? Okay, so I'm not yelling at you, Brother Paris, but I'm talking about those who are out here listening. Yes. And our chat room is open for hate mail, you know what I'm saying? So we welcome all our haters and what have you and whatnot. And then, of course, you got a lot of Trump sycophants out there, commonly referred to as kiss asses, you know, Uncle Tim Scott's, Yassa Bosses, you know, homie kind of niggas like that. I hate to use that term. But, however, they do not like this truth. Also, too, Malcolm had told us then, way back then, is that this all-inclusive shit is an illusion. And it is bullshit. You see what I mean? Now, hopefully we're going to have those who are going to call in and talk about Malcolm traveling to Mecca, and we will discuss that also. We got 2 hours. Okay. So therefore, in his youth, after the death of his father, you know, his mother was committed to a mental institution, okay, because they told her that she was not capable of caring for her children. Now, the thing is that when Malcolm's father, the Reverend Earl Little, was murdered when he was ran over with by a streetcar that cut his body in half, plus he was bashed in the back of the head, okay, and I believe this happened in Lansing, Michigan. Okay, so therefore, when Malcolm's mother had filed for the insurance claim to take care of the children, she was told that her husband had committed suicide and that the insurance company was not going to pay the Little family for the loss of Reverend Earl Little. So as she is caring for her children, you know, she suffers a mental breakdown. And Malcolm was very, very sensitive about this. And he would even take offense, you know, people had made fun of his mother. Okay. So therefore, when Malcolm got to Boston, okay, he was a burglar, okay, and this is when he got arrested. Plus, Malcolm indulged in various narcotics. He had sold various narcotics. he was a numbers runner. He rose from dope fiend, dope peddler, pimp to become one of the most dynamic figures of the Black revolutionary era. The civil rights movement had called Malcolm X a hater and a racist, and the minister simply referred to them as a bunch of Uncle Tom Negro leaders sitting at a lunch counter begging a white man for a cup of coffee. Now, in the year 1959, CBS News, or a correspondent who used to be with CBS News by the name of Mike Wallace, had made a production of a television film called The Hate That Hate Produced. And he has showed, you know, Minister Malcolm speaking, referring to Caucasians as blonde-haired, blue-eyed devils. Now, there was another minister, Minister Lewis X, a young man of the Boston Mosque, who had wrote a play called Orgina, or a Negro spelled backwards, where they were charging a white man of crimes against black folks, okay, and then you had an all-black jury that found him guilty of such atrocities. And it was Minister Lewis X who had wrote this play, and you know him currently today as Minister Louis Farrakhan.
Yep.
Okay, now, as Malcolm was lecturing in New York at Mosque number 7, okay, a longtime friend of his who had came in to the mosque to see Malcolm speak, and that there was his friend who he went to jail with, Shorty, okay? And then he tried to convert Shorty to become a member of the Nation of Islam, and Shorty had told him no. Okay, so the minister was traveling all across the nation. This is a man of no formal education who was openly debating with college professors who going to such places as the University of California at Berkeley. I also believe that he had spoke at Harvard. Okay, and I don't know, Brother Che, if you could pull up some facts, because a lot of what I'm discussing is from memory.
He spoke at Cornell.
Okay,
and it's a long list. I have to pull it all up. All the schools he spoke at.
Okay.
He spoke at several.
Okay, but I do know the major ones that he spoke at was in fact UC Berkeley.
Yeah.
And then when he spoke at UC Berkeley, there was a young man who went there and attended these speeches, and we will mention him later on, who was inspired to form his organization that I'm quite sure that those who are scholarly in Black studies would know who I'm talking about, but later on down the line, we would mention him as well.
Brother L, if you
could
call in, that would be great. He's asking for the StreamYard link. I don't think he can hear him on the StreamYard, though. I'm sorry, brother.
Okay, but it'll be better. It would be better if he had... will call in.
Brother L, can you just call in? The number's 516-418-5996, and give us your thoughts on Malcolm X.
Yes, sir. And appreciate that, the gentleman, checking us out. And also, toward the end of today's show, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to discuss that the mayor of New York, Eric Adams, is going to revoke P. Diddy's key to the city. And also, we're going to discuss Malcolm's legacy on today's youth. Okay, is because all we got is each other, Black family.
Message to the grassroots.
Yes, sir. And if you have the autobiography in front of you, Brother Che, feel free at any time, to quote, some of Malcolm's experiences and comments.
Okay.
And we're connecting to the chat room. Okay.
Shabaka, can you...
And generally...
how Malcolm X initially was diametrically opposed to what Martin Luther King was doing with the nonviolence
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay, it's because Minister Malcolm, when he would speak in the early years up in Harlem, Dr. King was going out there, we shall overcome. This is also, too, at the time where the fire departments of Birmingham, Montgomery, Raleigh, North Carolina, they would simply turn fire hoses on our people who were marching peacefully for civil rights. Okay. Also, too, the civil rights movement had came out and denounced Malcolm and had stated that Malcolm was a demagogue and a racist, and Malcolm's reply was, and you Negroes are sitting at a lunch counter begging a white man for a cup of coffee.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's
very, very interesting. Yeah, and then also, too, we want to give credit to Johnson Publications, who published the magazines of Jet that I remember as a child, and Ebony, of course, and they started in 1947. But actually, Ebony magazine had documented both the Civil Rights era and the Blacc Empowerment era as the events had unfolded at the time. And I believe a major contributor to that was the one and only Mr. Lerone Bennett Jr. Okay, and then toward the end of tonight's podcast, I will be reading a passage out of Mr. Bennett's works. Okay, and hopefully, we will have more listeners with us, is because they are shadow banning us, ladies and gentlemen. Mm-hmm. So please, check out our archives and share them, okay? It's because we do know our facts. We do know we get a lot of haters. Mm-hmm. It's because they cannot stand this heat. But in my youth, it was explained to me is that when you pass down such knowledge, you have to spoon feed it, because you don't, want to overwhelm people with it, just direct them in the right direction of where they can attain knowledge. And if they make errors, please forgive them. And if they come back and apologize and stated that you were right, okay, please accept the apology, is because the educational system in this fucked up ass country does not want our black youth to have this. And then toward the end too, Brother Che, we're going to discuss theoretically of how we think that Malcolm would react to this transgender bullshit.
He'll be discussing. But Shabaka, we got a caller. I think it's Brother Yah Garb.
Oh, okay.
Caller, just press one.
Okay, Brother Yah, just okay. All you got to do is just press one, and we'll be more than happy to have Brother Yah Garb on the air. And I did. Oh, okay, he was raising his hand. Okay.
Okay, I'm on mute.
All righty.
Greetings, brother.
Okay, he's on mute. Hey, greetings, Brother Elia. How you be? How you feeling? And how's life treating you here today, sir?
Very well. Good to hear your voices. Good to see you still here with us, Brother Shabaka. Appreciate you on the show the other night.
Oh, thank you. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Without a doubt. And if Sister Akshita is available, that'd be great. Okay. And at the point of where we're discussing Malcolm X right now, Brother Elia is in his early years of where he had went to prison, and his brother, Reginald, was sending him letters, discussing, the Nation of Islam and Mr. Muhammad, and had told Malcolm while he was in the slammer, whatever you do, do not eat any more pork. Strip it out your system. It will take 7 years to get up out your system. It's because a pig is a filthy animal. He's pretty much as of a scavenger, you see. And then Malcolm had great oratory skills, and he was also on the prison debate team while he was on the inside. And it was noted of how elegant he was and how articulate he was, and plus that he did a great deal of reading. And this is a man who had no formal education, PhD, master's degrees, or what have you, and spoke at places like Yale, Harvard, UC Berkeley. You see what I'm saying? And I even think he even traveled overseas a couple of times and spoke at Oxford. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
So this man here, you know, was quite gifted, you know, in what he did. And for him to go out on a limb like he did, just like Dr. King did with the civil rights movement, okay, the two were politically and diametrically opposed at one time, okay? And they used to refer to Malcolm in negative ways, but however, Adam Clayton Powell knew Malcolm. He supported Malcolm. Okay, Ron Reck is during the conversation. Hey, how you doing, Ron Reck? You know, call in, man. You know, hit us, you know, with some comments below. And then if anybody has access to the autobiography of Malcolm X right now, which I don't have it because my apartment is in disarray, and I'd want to, you know, to quote, you know, some of the quotes up out of there. But what it is, Black family, okay, Ron Reck, greetings to you. But what it is, Black family, all we got is each other, and we must become economically independent and sufficient to maintain our very existence, is because with this artificial intelligence, you know, they're going to mislead us, mislead our youth. They want to experiment on us. They want to put vaccines and shit like that in us. You see what I'm saying? Then not to mention the fact that Dr. Charles Drew, who had came up with the concept of preserving blood plasma for blood transfusions, that was used quite a lot during World War II. Now, another thing that impressed Malcolm X with the Elijah Muhammad is that Elijah Muhammad had refused induction into World War II, is because they had sent him a draft notice, and I think Mr. Muhammad at that time was well past the draft age. I think he was in his early 40s, and he simply refused to go. So he went to prison for that. You see, and then, of course, as we do know, you could identify members of the Nation of Islam as they're out in the general public, selling way back then, which was Muhammad Speaks, which I believe now, with the paper that they're selling now is the Final Call. Okay. Yeah. And then they also had emphasized that they have bakeries and restaurants, and the meals were quite nutritious. Okay. They were prepared, you know, their waiters and what have you would treat you with the utmost of courtesy. So therefore, as Malcolm is traveling across the country and going on and debating on major news shows on NBC, CBS, ABC, and what have you, they were no match. Okay. Now, Ron Reck is saying here that we are lab rats. Okay, Ron, we need you to call in. Okay. Lab rats.
Yes,
okay, Ron Reck. Yeah, Ron Reck. Okay. All right, so then when you are going out here for human rights, to stand up for your basic rights as a man, to protect your children and to protect your wives, but however, they had always kept us in a mentality of, I'm not going to say second-class citizenship, but lower class citizenship, is because this is why they would always refer to the black male as a boy. He was never respected as a man in American society at that time.
And they referred to us in general as Negroes, because they said we will never grow.
Yeah, exactly. You see what I'm saying? And this is not hatred, okay? This is not racial hatred. What this is anything is for the black community, or as Brother El-Yah referred to us, I think he stated, him and Sister Ak stated about the Moorish community, also stated that we were already here and enslaved. It is a fact that we did circumnavigate the globe, and I do believe is that they were giving some lectures on that, okay, with the Nation of Islam. Okay, so now, what had happened is that Malcolm had started going on. Okay, when we got another caller here at 573. They pressed one, so please unmute them, Brother Che.
Okay, 573.
And have them.
573, last 451 14. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, man, this is Ron Reck.
All right.
Hey, Ron, how you doing? All right.
I'm doing good, man. Hope y'all doing great. If I get my mixer to work right, I'd be happier. But hey, Malcolm X, good man.
Yes, sir.
Good people. And I'm a white man. Sorry to tell you that, you know, but I'm changing.
Oh, we know.
I am. Since everybody can change all different genders and shit, there's like 72 different genders. Here's what I'm gonna do.
Right.
I'll become a black Jewish faggot. That's when I become black Jewish gay man. So, you know, even though I'm not gay, I'm just kidding, but you know, might as well. Just to piss them all off. You know what I mean? Especially the liberals. They fucking hate me anyway. I'm the most hated man on Blog Talk Radio. But that's what I do. It's fun. I like it. Anyway. But I'm an equal person. I'm an equal person. I was raised in East St. Louis. You know, that's where I was born. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, East St. Louis, Missouri. Right across the mighty Mississippi.
East St. Louis, Illinois. Right, yeah, that's right.
Back in the day.
Right. Yeah, I could throw a rock between the arcs. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, man. But anyway, I understand black society. I understand how it works. You know what I mean? Because I grew up in it. You know what I mean?
All right.
And you ain't going to ever know. You're never going to know it unless you live it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I stand by that. I really do. I stand by it. You got to live it.
Yep.
You can't just come and assume some bullshit you think you fucking know because you don't know shit. You know what I mean?
Right.
I've seen what they do to black people. I watched it in front of me. But they also took the white motherfuckers down with them too. They categorized all of them. You know, the white trash motherfuckers, all that shit. You're rated black people. Well, that's either side has ever been true. It's always been a fucking lie. It's a political movement. It's all it is. It's all a political movement to make us all believe that we're the slow life motherfuckers, and we believe it. We winded up believing it. We did. We fell for all the bullshit. Then the internet came. Then the internet came.
Right.
Oh no, that's not.
And then that's when the bullshit really got ridiculous.
So they're full of shit. Yeah. So it did, but we realized most of the people intellectual thought realized, wait a minute, these motherfuckers did this shit for a reason.
Yep.
Their reason, not ours. It wasn't why they came back. It's what they wanted. They wanted constant fucking turmoil. They wanted constant fucking battle between races because they can make more money that way. That's what they did it for, man. They did it. Man. I watched them do public housing for black people, specifically black people. I watched it happen as a child growing up. Called the Roosevelt.
I'm familiar with public housing.
I watched these motherfuckers build these things, and they wouldn't bring them to white people. They wouldn't do it. Only black people. And what they were like, okay, well that's cool, whatever. I didn't really care that much back then. I had a lot of black friends. I still have a lot of black friends today. You know what I'm saying? I mean, some of them hate black people. Most of them hate white people. Some hate black people too, which is crazy. But anyway, they did it for a reason, and they wanted us to cause a disruption. They wanted the white people to fight black people. Let's fuck this whole town up. Let's fuck East St. Louis up. Let's kill the fucking the complex of it. All the mechanical things that East St. Louis used to have. I mean, East St. Louis used to be a robust city, black and white mix. I mean, it was a productive city, but they didn't want that. They had to bring that property value down, bring it down. Because in the near future, next 20 years, they're going to bring them fucking gambling boats. They're bringing them fucking boats in, man, the casinos, and that's where the money's going to be to get the property for pennies on the dollar, and it's still high to the highest fucking buyer. And that's what it did. Where my original home was as a child, I was born at. Okay, that's why Christian Whopper Hospital in East St. Louis. My home was in Washington Park, town right next to it, right? Well, the house that I grew up in, and my parents initially wound up owning 4 houses on one block, okay? Now it's a parking lot of a titty bar. Just to let you know. That's what happened to my childhood home. It's a titty bar parking lot.
Sounds like the same thing.
So they used it. Yeah, but they used us.
Yeah, he's talking about East St. Louis, Brother Che, you know, which is in Illinois.
Right.
It's right across the bridge when you cross the Mississippi, when you go by the Gateway Arc. I passed through it many a time.
Right.
Very dangerous. You know what I mean?
Right.
But we appreciate you there. We appreciate you, Ron. Okay, but however, Okay, I don't know what age group that you're in. Okay, but I do remember that I saw Malcolm X speak as a child, and looking at the archives, it was May 2nd, 1962 in Los Angeles, is because at that time when he was speaking, the Los Angeles Police Department had shot and killed a man by the name of Ronald Stokes. Then they had went to the LA mosque and tried to raid it. So what the brethren did right there is that they took weapons from the LAPD and they returned fire. So the X-Man was there speaking in Los Angeles at that time in regard to that. And the way how I found that out is because I told my mother when she was alive, I said, well, Mama, I got this image of us going to this place where everybody was sitting and clapping, and there was this tall man there with glasses on speaking, and I don't know what he was saying but dude was mad. She says that was Malcolm X, okay? And I pulled up the speech on YouTube, as I told Brother Parrish, Brother Che and Krumah, our co-host and co-executive producer, is that I remember him standing on a stage, and then there was a window by the stage where the sun was real bright coming through it. That's what I remember. So I played it back, okay? And this is when the minister was speaking of, well, who taught you to hate? Okay, wait a minute. Who taught you to hate the color of your skin? Who taught you to hate the shape of your nose and the texture of your hair? Who taught you to hate yourself so bad that you want to go out there and straighten your hair and be just like the white man? No, before you say that Mr. Muhammad is teaching hate, then you got to ask yourself, who taught you to hate the things that God has given you? Man, everybody went off into utter applause about it. But he was a controversial figure. There were a lot of people who were coming into the Nation of Islam, mainly the ones who got up out of prison. A lot of the men folk, were former hustlers, thugs, pimps, dope users, dope pushers. A lot of the women who came into the Nation of Islam, a lot of them were a lot of former prostitutes, gang runners, drug addicts themselves. You see what I mean? And then I do recall that they would always refer to you as sir and ma'am. Okay. So the X-Man, was speaking, out of Harlem, mainly where he was based out of. And then, of course, we do know the young minister, Louis X, who spoke out of the Boston Mosque, and we know him today as Louis Farrakhan. Now, as we move on, that during this time in the early 1960s, that there was a young heavyweight contender who was coming up through the ranks, who was reciting poetry, stating that they all must fall in the round that I call. And then on to February 25th of 1964, he defeated Sonny Liston, and he became the heavyweight champion of the world in Miami, Florida. And I do believe the actress by the name of Regina King had produced a film called One Night in Miami. And of course, this was the date, that the young man had became the heavyweight champion. And then he had stated the very next day at the press conference is that from this day forward, he will be known as Muhammad Ali. He had also had introduced his new manager by the name of Herbert Muhammad, who was the son of Elijah Muhammad. And then, of course, we all know the story on him. Okay, but as Malcolm had traveled the world, he met with Gamal Abdel Nasser of Egypt. He met, I do believe he did meet with Jomo Kenyatta. Okay, and keep in mind, folks, I'm doing this here from memory. And Brother Che, if you got notes in front of you or access, to the biography or the autobiography of the X-Man, please correct me if and when I'm wrong, is because what happens when you get off up into my age group, you forget a lot of shit. You know what I'm saying? Okay, I see Ron Reck has dropped. Okay. All right, Ron, thank you for calling in. Okay, and Yes, sir. That's his story right there. Yes, sir. And that is the same Alex Haley that wrote Roots as well, too, years later. Okay. And then, as X was saying, okay, at that time, he was advocating that black people defend themselves because it's your human right and your civil right to defend yourself. Okay, it was the one, oh man, okay, it was the one about how it's in the beginning, when they burned down his house, when his father was not at home, and this would be about 1932, I think. You see what I mean? Louise Little was his mother, and she was from Grenada. And his father was dark-skinned and his mother was light-skinned. And as you know, Malcolm X was a light-skinned black man with red hair, and they referred to him as Detroit Red when he went to Harlem. And then the X-Man does describe in his autobiography about the violation of the black woman on the plantation system. And once again, this is not hatred. These are merely facts. And I see Sarge is AWOL tonight, okay? And okay, and I think the number 810, I think I know who that is, okay, and definitely press 1, and I think I know who that is, okay? All righty, but however, the fact, I'm sorry? Oh, okay, yeah, Sister Trish, yeah, okay, out of all places, the Detroit area, okay, very interesting. The Detroit area, yeah, it's where Malcolm, when he was paroled out of prison, Mr. Muhammad had told him, come immediately to Detroit, do not pass go, do not collect $200, you are hereby I'm asking you to come to Detroit, and I do believe that Detroit was mosque number 1. Chicago is mosque number 2, and I believe that Milwaukee was mosque number 3, and I think D.C. and Philadelphia were 4 and 5. I forgot where 6 was, but Malcolm's mosque in Harlem was definitely number 7. Okay. So therefore, at this point, the X-Man is stating in his autobiography, and you have it there, Brother Che, and correct me if I'm wrong, is because I'm doing this here from memory. So if you have the autobiography, okay. Right. 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 Mm-hmm. Exactly. Look at the sharecropping system. See, look at the sharecropping system. The sharecropper, after slavery, when he was out there working in the fucking fields again, okay, he never got the fuck out of debt. You see what I'm saying? To keep them further in debt, to keep them into financial slavery, you see? And that was another thing that the X-Man had emphasized, too, of us building our own businesses is because we got to have grocery stores. We got to have water. You see what I'm saying? We got to have electricity. You see what I'm saying? We got to produce clothes for ourselves. You see what I'm saying? And then another thing that the X-Man... Right. And then if you could read that part, Brother Paris, of where his dad was killed and what had happened to his mother in regard to they had committed her to a mental institution in Michigan because they stated that she was not able to care for her children. So they parceled out, Malcolm and his brothers and stuff like that to various foster homes. Okay, so please read that, sir. Right. Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, in Omaha, Nebraska. Yeah, Omaha, Nebraska. Right. 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 Okay. Right. 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 Yeah, right. Yes, sir. Please continue. Yes, sir. Right. Yeah, yeah. The Black Legion was a spinoff of the Ku Klux Klan. Yes, sir. That is a fact. Mm-hmm. Wow. Mm-hmm. Mm. Mm-hmm. 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 Right. Yes, sir. Right. Okay, we have an unknown caller who called in. Okay, just press one and we'll be happy to have you on the air. You know what I'm saying? I do believe we have Sister Trish in our chat room. Very, very knowledgeable sister, you know what I'm saying, who is out of the Detroit area. Okay, all righty, okay. Okay, we got the unknown caller. He had his hand up. His mic is on. And who is this calling, please?
Well, I'd like to know that I've called in despite the fact, excuse me, I'm preparing myself for my most solemn day of the year, Memorial Day. And
okay.
I'd like to know that that I am prepared to engage with you come hell or high water, no matter what you say that may be untrue, erroneous, or misleading.
Sarge. Okay, so in other words, Sarge, you think Sarge, you thinking that this platform here is like be plain Fantasy Island, huh? Yeah.
No, I didn't say that. Sarge, I didn't say that. I said whatever you may say that is erroneous, distorted, or misleading. I didn't say that everything you say is, did I? And remember now, Sarge, look, every word Sarge uses is meaningful. I don't use superfluous language. So listen carefully to everything I say. Everything is a meaning.
Okay. All right. Well, Sarge, we're at the point in the autobiography of Malcolm X, okay, where he's in Omaha, Nebraska, okay, and his parents, are having marital problems is because the Reverend Earl Little was a Garveyite, okay, as you know, Sarge. And he was always on the lecture circuit, you see what I'm saying, preaching Garveyism, and then also, too, that Mr. Little himself was threatened when the Ku Klux Klan come up there to his house. And what Mr. Little simply did is that he's got his 38, he locked and loaded, and he started busting some cats at these tricks, and they took their pointed, hooded asses and ran away like the fucking cowards that they are. Yeah. Excuse me, folks, I don't mean to get so excited.
They felt about them uppity troublemakers like him, so they had to go after him.
Okay. And I just appreciated the way how the man returned fire, Sarge, just like what the Deacons of Defense did in North Carolina, is because it is your human right and your God-given right to maintain your existence. The day of the ass scratcher and the Yassa boss is over. This is why we are paying tribute to this great man who told us this here over 60 years ago. You see what I mean? Now.
And that is why, by the way, I just have to remind you, conservatives like me have always advocated for you to have the inalienable right to do precisely that in your right to keep and bear arms, because it is a universal, human, inalienable right that we strive to defend, and the liberals and the demon rats strive to deprive you of it.
Okay, Sarge, you'll get no argument from me. Now, God, you both. Okay, whoa. Hold on, Brother Che. But Sarge, okay, but keep in mind, Brother Che, is that 1962, when the X-Man did come to Los Angeles, let me see. The LAPD had went to the mosque under the orders of one racist, sick, tyrannical bastard by the name of William H. Parker. And then there was a future chief who was a lieutenant on the LAPD at that time by the name of Daryl Gates. Okay, so the LAPD goes in there, they shoot and killed Ronald Stokes. Okay, so what the Muslims that did, from what I understand, is that they engaged into a physical altercation with them, and they retrieved some of the firearms from the LAPD, and they did return fire. You see what I mean? Okay, so then the X-Man had lectured on that, Brother Che, and that there's where the speech that I was at is because the brothers that went to court and they got convicted, okay? So then when Malcolm returned to New York, he was lecturing in Harlem about what was happening in Los Angeles at that time, where they indiscriminately, and they're doing the same fucking thing 60 years later, of indiscriminately killing black men and some of our women as well, too, such as Sandra Bland and Breonna Taylor, you know what I'm saying? And then these fucking cowards got the audacity to say, oh, I thought I saw a gun. I made a mistake. Well, then, man, then you shouldn't be on the fucking job. You see, it's because what your real motivation is that you wanted to go kill black people. And I fought Barack Obama being the president of the United States at the time when these questionable police killings were going on, and he did not intervene. What did Obama get up there and say? Well, we believe in gay rights, a man shoving ketchup up his rectum, talking about that he is having a menstrual cycle, which is a direct insult to the imagery and the sanctity of womanhood. And then toward the end, we're going to theorize, if the minister was still alive here at the age of 99, what his viewpoint would be on this gay rights shit. Just say, and we'll do that later on.
Well, I think
Chase,
we know that one.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I think we know what that would be.
Oh yeah. Okay. And as Brother Che is going through the autobiography right now, Sarge, taking out key points, okay, is because I'm doing it for memory. And my mind is not as sharp as it used to be, Sarge, getting up in age, you know what I'm saying? Maybe Alzheimer's is setting in or whatever. Okay. But please continue, Brother Che. The lecture that you were getting there, sir, with Mr. and Mrs. Little having a marital spat, in regard to the contemporary times in which they were living in, and I believe this here is the early 1930s. Okay. Okay. Mhm. Mhm. Right. 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 Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yeah. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yeah, that's right. Uh-huh. Mhm. 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 Land. Yes, sir. And also, too, Brother Che, not cutting your wisdom, brother, but I also want to mention the fact that there was the birth of the red, black, and green flag. Red for the blood of black people that was shedded on this land. And I saw in the city back east, I don't know if it was Norfolk, Virginia, Washington, D.C., where they allowed the red, black, and green flag to be displayed. But I have one problem with it. They put it up underneath the American flag, which I considered a great fucking insult, is because the RBG flag should fly on its own pole higher than the American flag. Understand? That part. Yes, sir. Okay.
Well, Shabaka, you do remember how Stanley Crouch, the great critic and jazz critic and a general cultural critic, said about Malcolm X? Remember what his most famous quote depicting Malcolm X was?
Which was?
He said he is the chief black heckler of the civil rights movement.
Oh, yeah, Malcolm did crumb bum on the civil rights movement is because Malcolm had stated at Mouse number 7 one time, okay, is that he says is that you guys in the civil rights movement was in the prominent figures were Ralph Abernathy, Andrew Young, Julian Bond, of course, Reverend King. And he says that you guys call me a demagogue, but you, Uncle Toms, are sitting at a lunch counter begging a white man for a cup of coffee. And our people will go there, Sarge, and sit at a lunch counter and beg for a cup of coffee. They were spat on. They had food thrown on them. And then you had old Frog Face, the great governor of Alabama. Said this yesterday, said this next, said this now.
Well, 2 days, I'll tell you one thing, Brother Shabaka. 2 days after Malcolm X said this, the Democrats are playing you for a political chump, and if you vote for them, not only are you a chump, you are a traitor to your race. 2 days after he said this, he was dead. Coincidence?
Okay.
Who knows?
Yeah, okay, yeah. Well, that's where you got to get with James Baldwin. I'm sorry, no, that's where you got to get with Dick Gregory on that one right there, is because the X-Man and Dick Gregory did have a conversation before he had went to Africa. And Dick Gregory told him, he said, Brother Malcolm, I love you, man, but you're on your way out. Now, there was another figure in Africa, and I believe, and Brother Che, if you could pull up some data on that, I don't know. Okay, because they killed Patrice Lumumba in 1960, okay, is because he had wanted independence, okay, and that's when that sick-ass bastard by the name of Leopold, who was the king of Belgium, who had African people picking rubber off the rubber trees, and he started cutting off their arms, is because they refused to pick the rubber. And then, by the way, Sarge, you do know that Michelin, Goodyear, and Firestone benefit greatly, man, from that. So that supports even more of our reasoning for the reparations, Sarge.
Well,
Yep. Yes, sir. Right.
Well, guys, you are aware, by the way, this is an aside, I know, but something that I'm sure you may or may not, well, you may be at least peripherally aware of this, that in 2027, the FBI is scheduled to release surveillance tapes of Martin Luther King that are due, like I said, due for release in 2027, which, among other things, show him as looking and laughing on as the pastor friend of his raped a parishioner of his, amongst other things. Really scandalous stuff. And I'm just wondering if these tapes are verified, and I'm not saying they are. So don't think for a minute I am. It's the FBI, and I don't trust them for anything. But let's just say for the sake of argument that they are. I just wonder what sort of impact this is going to have on everything, and especially when you consider things that Malcolm X said about the Civil Rights Movement.
Right. And then as you are aware, Sarge, of the Freedom of Information Act, I believe, what year was that? 1978, 1979, I believe, Sarge, where they were supposed to start releasing. Okay, the Freedom of Information Act, Sarge.
Freedom of Information Act, yeah.
Yeah, or where they were supposed to release the counterintelligence program documents ordered by the one and only John Edgar Hoover of Surveillance of the Nation of Islam, SCLC, Dr. King, and then, of course, the Black Panther Party. And then, of course, as we do know, is that the Weatherman, from what I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, Sarge, had broken into the FBI, man, and got those documents, and they had discovered the counterintelligence program. It's for the simple fact, Sarge, they want us to still be subservient. You see what I'm saying? They want us to be so forgiving. And this is why in Hollywood, you know, and every time I go on to Los Angeles and look at that Hollywood sign up on that place, man, I despise that goddamn place, man, just because of all the black talent that they had stolen. But however, I do respect another individual who was around during Malcolm's time. And as a matter of fact, this man eulogized Malcolm X, and that there was the one and only Mr. Ossie Davis. And also, too, as you do know, that he was married to Ruby Dee. They had done some films together. I think the first film they made together, late 40s, I believe, Brother Che, called Pearly Victorious. And one thing about Miss Ruby Dee that I will always respect, and the same thing about Miss Cicely Tyson that I will always respect, those two black women did not go out there and whore themselves out in Hollywood, okay? Like so many other black actresses had did and were taken advantage of, and Dorothy Dandridge was one of them, okay? All righty. Who's great-grandma? Oh, okay. And you was related to the Davis family.
Well, you know something, but don't you kind of think in some ways, though, the Malcolm's family seems to be cursed? After all, Malika Shabazz died in a New York apartment. She was found dead at the age of 56 about 3 years ago. And Betty Shabazz, his wife, died 60 years of age when her son set the house on fire.
Grandson.
And she died a few weeks later from the burns. Then Malcolm died in 2013 of injuries sustained in a fight over a bar bill in Mexico City. So you got to wonder, it seems that this family was pretty cursed after his assassination.
Okay, well, what it is, though, Sarge, I don't think that the family was cursed. I believe is that the family was targeted, just like Dr. King's family, by covert operations. Period.
Oh, wait a minute. So you're saying that they got to Betty Shabazz's son, they got to and caused him to set his mama on fire?
No, I'm not talking about his grandson, Sarge. I'm talking about with his grandson, Malcolm, who was killed in Mexico. Also, too, with his daughter ODing in her apartment. Okay, now,
Louis Malika. I believe that was Malika. Who got
his second baby. But his oldest baby, Attila, okay, who looks just like her father, okay, and, you know, she keeps a low profile because I saw her on YouTube videos that the family now pretty much keeps a very, very low profile and what have you. But, of course, you know, they appreciate those of us that do remember her father's legacy. Okay, I see we got another caller right here. Feel free to call in and press 1. And you know who we should have got on here tonight too, Brother Che, is the Elder McChesnick. Yeah, we should have got the Elder McChesnick on here with us. Maybe we could probably get him for Grand Rising, man, and do a part 2 on this, you know what I mean? And what have you. Yeah, you see. And then, of course, we are telling our callers, you know, I'm not the most perfect individual. You know, I'm a little bit brain dead myself due to age, and correct me on anything that I'm wrong. And I see Taze has joined our conversation. Okay, we got a caller here out of 907. We're on mute named Mike. Okay, greetings, caller 907, last 3091. Welcome to Shabaka'S Blacc Experience Enhanced. And what's on your mind, and what's your name, and where you calling from?
Hi, Shabaca. This is Boyd. We've talked before. I'm from Alaska.
Okay, how you doing, Boyd? Okay. All right, the Alaskan.
Yeah, I'm the Alaskan. I'm doing pretty good. I got in here late. So I'm not sure where the conversation is going. So I'm just going to sit back right at the moment and listen because I don't have nothing constructive to say yet.
Okay, all right, I'll bring you up to speed. Okay, so we're speaking of Malcolm X, and we're on the part, you know, where his family's home was burned down in Omaha, Nebraska, shortly before his birth, is because the individuals in that community did not like the Reverend Earl Little's speeches and philosophies on being a Garveyite. Okay, and I'm sure that you are familiar with Marcus Garvey, who stated Africa for the African. And keep in mind that the United Negro Improvement Association had over 8 million followers. Now, keep in mind, they had over 8 million followers. This is before the internet. This is before shit like Facebook and YouTube and all that other garbage. Okay, 336. Okay, we will get to you very, very shortly. 336. Okay, you got your hand up. We're going to unmute your mic shortly. And we appreciate those who are calling in. And one thing I do ask is that Malcolm X was perhaps one of the most controversial figures of the 20th century. If we disagree, please let us disagree agreeably. Okay, now we got the one and only Sarge. Now, Sarge, you're pretty tough right there. You're kind of like my Joe Frazier compared to Ali. And keep in mind, a bum like me is not comparing himself to Ali. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so we're going to unmute 336, last 3644. Okay.
Yep. This is Joe with Shabazz.
Yeah. Okay. Welcome, Joe. How you doing? Okay, we got Sarge in with us. We have the Alaskan in here with us. And please continue, Brother Che. And I see Tave left the conversation, but Tave, you're welcome to call in. Okay. And also, too, Brother Che, we're at the part where the Reverend Little was killed in Lansing, Michigan, where he was ran over by a streetcar. Also, too, he had the back of his head bashed in, and Mrs. Little had put in for a life insurance policy to collect to raise her children. And then they said that he committed suicide, so they're not going to pay. So Mrs. Little, or Malcolm's mother, Louise, was put off into a mental institution, okay? And then the children were dispersed, through various foster homes. And Malcolm was in a foster home, and they showed this in the movie where Denzel had portrayed Malcolm, and that he told his teacher that he had wanted to be a lawyer, and the teacher told Malcolm, it says, well, get that out of your mind, it's because you're a nigger, and you might as well, give up on that and try being a carpenter or something like that. And of course, as we do know, the one and only Dr. Paul Robeson, who was a star athlete, who was a movie actor as well, too. He had stated such things as that he was a lawyer and that they was hitting him with the McCarthy, the guy who led the Senate inquiry into people being communists and stuff like that in the 1950s, that is commonly referred to as the Red Scare. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate all our listeners and what have you. At times we do disagree. I do ask that if we do disagree, let us disagree agreeably. Now, Sarge, you got that napkin holder device, man. You're kind of dangerous on here, Sarge. You know what I mean? So Sarge, we're going to turn it over to you for a minute, sir, and let's hear some feedback from you, and then we're going to go on and let Joe Gibson go on and comment. Okay, Sarge, you have the floor, Sarge.
Well, you know me, Shabaka, I'm a firm believer in the old adage, if you want peace, prepare for war. But look, I don't fancy myself as a Malcolm X scholar. I do believe I am more familiar with his history and his legacy than most people, because I've always found him to be a fascinating individual, a man who literally radiated charisma. I mean, it was impossible to ignore him when he held a stage and was holding forth on his views. So as a result of what I saw, even if I didn't agree with it, I'd admit he was the most compelling speaker and a man who commanded attention wherever he went. And I guess I'd like to speak to the fact his remarkable journey through life from a penny-ante thug and hustler, a corrections inmate, autodidactic, self-taught man in jail, who came out of jail inspired by the teachings of another prison acquaintance who acquainted him with the Nation of Islam and the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and the discipline that he attained and his ability to communicate those views to others is simply an amazing story in itself, to say nothing of his ascension and rise through the ranks of the Nation of Islam as a spokesman and public teacher. And then you factor that into his appearance on a national stage, and then the fact that he had this break with Elijah Muhammad, because he, no matter what you can say, once he attained his spiritual path in his teachings for the Nation of Islam, he was a man of utter integrity and character. And he believed that you had to be absolutely faithful to the tenets of the Nation of Islam, and he saw its leader was anything but that. So he had the break with Islam.
You're speaking for yourself on that one. Okay, do let me make this perfectly clear.
Well, that's what Malcolm X
thought. You're speaking for yourself. Okay, all right. Well, you're speaking for yourself on that there, Sarge. Please continue. You know what I mean?
Let me put it this way.
Continue.
Malcolm X more or less publicly indicated that he believed that, whether it's true or not. So anyway, he had the break. And there's no doubt about the break with the Nation of Islam. And then he went on to form the Organization of African Unity, and he obtained this internationalist outlook on race relations. He no longer considered the teachings of Dr. Yaqub, the islet of Patmos, and the fact that the white race was a mutated hybrid species obtained by grafting genetic specimens in Dr. Yaqub's laboratory on the island of Patmos. He gave up all that nonsense. And he then obtained an internationalist ecumenical outlook on religion and people in general. And I think that is one of the most remarkable journeys I have ever seen in American public life.
Okay, and then also too, he did meet with Kwame Nkrumah. Yes, sir, brothers, you'd say. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, how are you?
Now wait a minute. Now why am I rambling? You think that was a rambling exposition there, brother Shabaka'S?
No.
Oh, you think I was remarkably focused? I don't think it was rambling at all. I mean, you might disagree with it, but rambling is hardly how I would characterize it. No, I can understand a disagreement with what I said, but I think I was very focused in my analysis of Malcolm X's career and his impact on the world.
Well, Sarge, pretty much of what you were saying right there, believe it or not, was pretty accurate.
I thought so.
Okay, and then, now another thing that we have to remember too is that when X was traveling in Africa, the newly crowned heavyweight champion had bumped into him in Ghana, and Malcolm was traveling with Maya Angelou and three other well-known figures. I can't recall their names, but anyway, Muhammad Ali and Malcolm X, they had a falling out, behind that. You see what I mean? Is because, as Elder McChesnick had told us a couple of years ago on there when we had spoke about that, is that Muhammad Ali had went to the Nation of Islam to protect his boxing career, you see, and then just pull up the archives on that, you see. But the thing is, though, is that I found so interesting is that toward the end, when Dr. King, toward the end of his life, and I guess because let me make sure I got it right. Martin Luther King was assassinated April 4th, 1968. Malcolm X was assassinated February 21st in 1965. So 3 years earlier, before Dr. King, the X-Man was assassinated. And the irony of it, of both these individuals, that both of them died at the age of 39. Neither man saw 40. Right. Believe it or not. Neither man saw 40. You see what I'm saying? And then there was a book that I read by James H. Cone called Martin, Malcolm, and America. And he pretty much had left the impression that the two of these individuals were, approaching each other and probably was trying to do some type of hookup. And then keep in mind, both of them were under severe scrutiny and surveillance by the FBI on the orders of the one and only John Edgar Hoover and Robert Kennedy Sr., when he was the Attorney General of the United States during the Kennedy administration, had told Hoover, not only what you are doing is wrong, it is extremely dangerous. You see what I mean? Then comes the birth of the counterintelligence program. Then Adam Clayton Powell, who is a U.S. congressman from New York, and I believe it is Hakeem Jeffries' brother Che. Oh, okay, I see Brother Che muted his mic. Okay, but it was either Hakeem Jeffries or Cory Booker currently at hold Powell's seat, from that district up out of New York, which represents the Harlem district. And of course, Malcolm had started speaking in Harlem. Okay, now, since we're down to our last 39 minutes, we're also going to mention a third figure who is a contemporary of Malcolm X as well, too. And this individual used to watch Malcolm X speak at the University of California at Berkeley. And him and an associate of his by the name of Bobby Seale had put together a 10-point program. And these were the guys that formed the Black Panther Party for self-defense. Okay. J. Edgar Hoover had immediately declared them public enemy number one when they exercised their constitutional rights by going into Sacramento to go on the floor of the state assembly to protest the Mulford Act, of which was being drafted up, which would prevent anybody from carrying a firearm in public. And then you had an old senile bastard with special effects of crazy glue and Grisha formula, who became the 40th president. And at that time, he was the governor of California, and his name was Ronald Reagan. Okay, so therefore, the crux of the story, people, as long as we, as Black people, are going out here, or as Brother Elia Garb says, Moors, or what have you, as long as we're going out here killing each other, our women out here in Las Vegas and Hollywood projecting whoredom, our men folk projecting self-hatred and about killing each other and going around wearing women's clothes and things of this nature here, then we're okay. But as soon as you come up with guys like Shabaka'S and Corey, Shane Krumer, Jay Dizzle, Irritated Genie, that speaks out against this nonsense and this debauchery, well, you guys are Black racists. There's no such thing as a Black racist in the United States of America. Why? Because we control no police departments. We control no technological firms like they got over there in Silicon Valley. We don't have no control over no social media. We have no control over mainstream media. And then when I look at this bullshit on Fox News and Gutfeld and all that, and yeah, Gutfeld, you're a punk. I'm calling you that. You're a punk, Gutfeld. And you is welcome to dial this number of 516-418-5996 and bring that raggedy-ass Judge Perot with you as well too, who should be fucking disbarred. Okay? Because there's no way in hell that you're going to sit up there and tell me that we're supposed to hate ourselves and love everybody else. And then the dump, as in human shit, and I want to make that perfectly clear. That sick, raping son of a bitch deserves to go right straight to fucking jail. Now, if I can go over here to a sports book and one of these okay, and if I can go off into one of these sports books and casinos, I will take $50 and I will bet that bastard will not be convicted of any crime. Why?
You're damn right, because they didn't reveal a single thing he did wrong illegal. Not yet. They ain't shown nothing yet. There's nothing there. You can hate Donald Trump all you want, but this has got to be the worst case I have ever seen presented in a major jurisdictional venue in my entire life. I've never seen such a god-awful, hideous, nothing burger of a case. It is pure welfare. It doesn't matter if you hate Donald Trump or not. They got nothing on him. They didn't lay a finger on him.
So they ain't laid a glove on him. I'm sorry.
Not a finger. Look, man, I understand that you hate Donald Trump, okay? I hate Barack Obama. But if they'd have brought a case like this against Barack Obama, if they had brought a case like this against Barack Obama, I would have laughed whoever brought it against him out of the courtroom. It is absurd.
Can I get in this conversation?
Yes, sir.
It can't get no worse.
Okay, let the gentleman speak.
Again, I agree with Sarge. He is going to be president, and everything was weak. A lot of stuff we don't realize is when they started off asking Trump about his taxes, that was all smoke. That was all smoke screen. That was a game because Donald Trump operates out of a trust. So you asking about his taxes, you asking him questions you know you're not getting the answer for. He doesn't even have to pay taxes like everybody else does because he operates from a trust, and they knew that. But see, they got to make news and keep your and my attention focused on stuff that's not real while they do things like bring back the Jim Crow law, while they do things like abuse us with their authority, it's fake authority that they don't have. The only reason why they have this authority, and first let me say this before I talk about their authority. I was born in 1965. I was born 8.5 months to 9 months after El Hajj Malik El Shabazz was killed. So ever since I was a child, I felt like I had his spirit. Before his murder, he used to visit my mother's house when my mother was a child, and he first became a minister because the first Nation of Islam in New Haven, Connecticut started in my mother's house when she was 13 years old. So Elijah, all of them were at my mother's house. By the time I was born, El Hajj was gone. So in 75, by 75, I went to Sister Clara Muhammad School until 1975. They never taught us about Malcolm X. They never taught us anything about Malcolm X or El Hajj Malik El Shabazz. They never mentioned him. He was not a subject. He was not somebody that they brought to us to know. We didn't find out about him, really, our generation, until everybody else found out through the movie with Spike Lee and stuff like that. This man was a mystery. So in 1975, when Elijah's son got up there and said, my dad wasn't telling y'all the right thing about being, that kind of like echoes what Malcolm X had said a few years.
Yeah, you're speaking of Wallace.
By these teachings. And so with that, see, I'm trying to show us, I'm hoping we all see, us using this term black to talk about advancing with, it's not going to happen. You're not going to get reparations as a black person or black people. Nobody feels like they owe any rights. Nobody feels like they owe any rights to black people. Why? because they made black people up. They really made white people up too. There's no such thing as a white person. That is, these are racial. It's like you've been living all your life, Shabaka. Now I'm gonna come to you and tell you, yo, from now on, you're gonna call yourself a green person, and then you're gonna teach your children that. But there's no green people on the earth. So how y'all look calling yourselves green people, plant people, when there's no plant people ever to talk about? This is the part that we're not catching on to as a people. And if we really want our rights, we have to realize that when I say I'm a Moor, it has nothing to do, it's not like being black. It's not like fighting for being black. It is like China fighting Japan. We are fighting for our own identity. We are telling them not your problem.
China and Japan did have a war. You know that, right?
Say that again?
Okay, China and Japan did have a war. You know that,
An enormous one. An enormous one.
And not only did they have a war, if we go back and follow their history, we find out that they're one family. They are the same group of people who only decided to switch up based on this incorporation of a name, because China is actually Mandarin. It's Mandarinese. And so they are not China. China is the incorporated name. So when you deal with the Mandarin, now you go back and start touching the Japanese and the Vietnamese, the South and North Vietnamese. You start touching them when you say Mandarin. It's only when you break it down into these incorporated names. An incorporated name is Black and African American, Ethiopian, African. These names are names that they own. And since they own that property right to that, they could do whatever they want to it. That's why you and I keep getting abused. Nobody's ever come to our defense. Nobody has spoke up for us, because we are not saying like we're a family, we're a nation. We're just a group of people on the earth. Well, where that group of people come from, that makes them interlopers. If they can't say honestly where they came from and show where they came from, and they're over here claiming land, they can't claim no land. They're not from here. But you and I are from everywhere. We're from England, we're from Russia, we're from Germany, we're from Italy, we're from Spain, we're from, am I naming all European countries right now? Because this is where we are from.
Yes, sir, you are. And I got a comment on that there, but go ahead, please continue your point, sir.
So as we go to the south of that, then we're from Akubulan, we're from India, we're from Pakistan, we are. And see, we have to connect, we're from Arabia, we have to connect ourselves back to our ancestors outside of this system that they put together to abuse us. And all we have to do really is study the law. It's not their law. It is a law. We study the law, we'll be able to beat them, because now we know what to say and what not to say. But, and in my closing, Malcolm X died Hajj Malik Shabazz. He didn't have the L's on his name for nothing. He was quietly showing us something. And we Moors say that that's what really got him killed. When he came back here with the Hajj Shabazz, what he told them was, hey, look, I'm not even black. I know I'm a Moor, and I know this land is mine. I know your secret. That's why they killed him. And I also think him and Martin Luther King did talk. And Martin Luther King, one of his final speeches, he made the comment that this was our land.
And then also too, y'all, Dr. King had also stated that I had led my people into a burning house with integration. Now, that is one of the main reasons why I respect Dr. King, because he was a man who realized his mistake. You see what I'm saying? Now, cutting your wisdom, Elyas, because like I said, man, you and Sister Akshita, you all got me doing some reading, and this is why it says, upon my demise of what I've lived through and what have you. You see, you guys are the generation after me. And to quote a wise man by the name of Bruce Lee, he said, in any given situation, take what is useful, leave what is useless. Okay, but as I grew up in Los Angeles, I was always stopped by the police for simply being, quote unquote, identified as a male Negro. They would pull me over with no probable cause, and then they would reaffirm to me is that we have no problem of kicking your black ass off the planet. You know what I'm saying? And just like when they put a 357 Magnum to my head on the corner of Hollywood Boulevard and Western Avenue in Hollywood, which was the Hollywood division of the LAPD, okay? Hey, man, that there was a very, very exhilarating experience, okay? Now, I do recall one night I was walking down the street and this young white woman said that she had locked her keys in the house and asked me to hop a fence to go through one of her windows to open up her front door. Biggest setup going, you know what I'm saying? Biggest setup going, you know? And I told her respectfully, well, ma'am, how can I do that? You have a nice night, and I hope you resolve your conflict. But however, this was a Becky who probably had wanted to get some sexual excitement of watching the white police officers beat my ass to a pulp. Okay? And then the heavyweight champion, Muhammad Ali, in 1975, when Ken Norton made that garbage called Mandingo, and he's standing up there on the auction block, and the white woman goes up there and grabs his Johnson. And you all know what I mean by that, to be respectful to children and women who might call in. Mr. Ali had stated that there is nowhere in hell that I would have sit up there and play some bullshit like that. So what did Ali do? He wrote his book and made his own movie called The Greatest, his life story. You see what I mean? And I just feel sorry for Mr. Norton for allowing himself to be, no disrespect to his memory, of being pimped in that manner. This is why, Elia, you will see my posts and you will hear me state here on this platform of fuck Hollywood. You know what I'm saying? And Brother Jay will tell you, hey, man, I went down there to the Grammys Chinese Theater, and in front of where they had the Academy Awards at, and did a live feed and told them just that. In Hollywood, on Hollywood. Yeah, so therefore, as far as filmmaking is concerned, I respect Tyler Perry, you know, with his Tyler Perry Studios. And the only thing I can say, Mr. Perry, hey, man, make some films about the positive life of African Americans, Moors, Black people, whatever how we are currently identifying ourselves, because we are the original man. Everybody else learned from us, rather if it was them filthy British, rather if it was them sadistic Portuguese, rather if it was them Norwegians or Icelanders or what have you. And one thing I will say, okay, like I tell Joe Gibson, and Joe Gibson is there with us, Joe, and feel free to comment on that. And Joe, my invitation is still open to you to come out here to Las Vegas this summer, where the average temperature, man, would be about 118 degrees, 120, what have you. And let's sit out there, Joe, and sit in the sun. And Joe, you've got to tell me, man, what you kind of first aid that you will need for your sunburn when you get it, because I'm not going to leave you out there. I just want to make sure, man, I got the proper items needed, man, to preserve your life. But one thing about you, Joe Gibson, that I would know, if you and I were to take a trip up there to Iceland, what have you, you would leave me out there to freeze to death. I yield. Mike's is open for everybody. We got 22 minutes. Why so much silence in the room? The truth hurts. Yeah, exactly.
I wouldn't get sunburnt. And as far as leaving, well, maybe you might give me a headache. Yeah.
Okay, now let me. Whoa. Now hold on, Joe. Now let me ask you a question. If you was out here in this heat, man, and you were to get a headache, man, what first aid that you would need, man? You know what I'm saying, to save you from getting a headache or having any other
I don't get sunburnt, Shabaka. I own a landscaping business. Out 90-degree heat every day, so I don't get sunburnt.
Okay, but Joe, in the summer months, 90 degrees is a cool day here. I'm talking about we will be out in 118 degrees, maybe 120.
Well, I'm telling you, Shabaka, if you ever seen pictures of Joe, man, he's quite tanned. Trust me. I don't think it would bother him unduly. I think he's quite capable of coping with the sun and the heat. I mean, I remember I served with people in the sun and the heat, even pale-skinned white men, and they were able to eventually acclimate themselves to it, and they coped nicely. Nobody was comfortable in it, but they coped as well or better than anybody else.
Okay. It's because I've seen, people of the Caucasian persuasion, Sarge, on the beaches of Southern California, which is right by the ocean, which can be no way in hell hot as it is out here in this desert, we're getting sunburned. And one poor soul, I said to him, man, what do you need? You want me to call a paramedic? You want me to call a lifeguard? You want me to give you some water? And he says, no, man, just get me to some shade. I says, okay, man, well, we'll sit you up under this lifeguard tower right here, which was shaded. And then, of course, I did go summon paramedics for him, and they did go check on this individual. Yes, I couldn't leave nobody out there, man, suffering like that. I'm not that inhumane, man. You know what I'm saying?
No, I'm just saying, man, people get out and look. Human beings are living in every clime on the planet, where they're not adapted for, and that it's like anything else. We are the most adaptable creatures in the history of the world, and we've managed to adapt ourselves anywhere we choose to live. And I would be anybody of any race. I had to get used to being stationed in Germany and staying out in the field in 10 degrees below zero weather, and I hated it. But I learned how to do it. Cool. And eventually, I can't stand cold weather. But eventually, I got to the point where I could cope quite well with it if I did what I had to do once I was acclimated to it, like anything else.
Okay. And I remember Mad Dr. D said one time, may he rest in peace, when he was stationed in Korea near the DMZ, he said it would get so damn cold you could take a cup of water, throw it outside, and it will be ice before it hits the ground.
Honestly, he's not exaggerating much.
Hot water.
It freezes on the instantly. I mean, you can bring. If you brought your weapon, I'm telling you, if you brought your weapon into a warm area, and the warmth caused the moisture on your outside of your weapon to condense and get liquid, and you took it right back out in the cold. Now, sometimes that thing wouldn't shoot or eject any rounds because the ice would freeze up around the moving parts of the operating system. It would freeze up that fast.
And it would jam. Okay,
yeah,
it would jam.
You stop it. It just wouldn't work.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's what I mean by that. Your weapon would jam, Sarge. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, that's what I mean by that. You know what I mean? But however, Black history, Moorish history, or whatever history from Africa, or Al-Kibalan is what the kind of, or what it was referred to as. I thank the Almighty of being a descendant of so-called Africa, Kibalan, or what have you, is because it was the beginning point of all the sciences, navigation, surgery, brain surgery, embalming of the dead. Okay. Okay. Now I've got a general question. Okay, I got a general question, Brother Che. Please explain to me, and also to Elia, please explain to me, why are the women from East Africa so hypnotically beautiful? Look at Ilhan Omar, for an example.
To explain it that way, I would be lost for words. I'd be a fool to try. Beauty, they're just beautiful. But women are beautiful everywhere. It's just that those women probably live a more clean and cultured life within their families. And so we see them as we would have seen our mothers back in the 60s and 70s before crack. They wwere beautiful.
Right.
Where you look, women were beautiful in the church. Wherever my aunts were beautiful, and now that I'm a man, I know how them dog dudes was around them and what they was around them for. My aunts are beautiful, and so we lost that in the '80s with drugs. Everybody,
and the rap industry. And the rap industry. Now, keep in mind, Brother Elia, the Queen Mother Sada Shakur had stated in one of her lectures is that rap, could be a very, very positive influence on our youth. But then in the 90s, they went to the quote unquote gangster rap. Every other word in there is the NGR term, referring to a woman as the B word and stuff like that. Then, of course, the stuff with Sean Diddy, Puffy Combs is going through the video that he made, the other day of how he apologized and all that. Now, as Brother Che and I had stated on Frontline Black News, when the case broke on Diddy, when the lap dogs had went up there to serve the search warrants on him, and the lap dogs, I refer which is the Los Angeles Police Department, and that's what I call them, is because of things that I've witnessed in Los Angeles growing up. But Diddy, he bailed. Diddy early in the morning bum rushed the damn Van Nuys Airport, got on his private jet, man, and by the time they served the warrant, that cat man was clear across out of the U.S. in the Bahamas. That is a tragedy, is because that industry could have done a whole lot of upliftment for the Black community. And I'm talking about financially.
That's where it goes wrong, Brother Shabaka. You got to understand that we can't say you're good for the Black community because there isn't supposed to be one. Everything in the Black community is meant to be bad. And if it's not bad, we're going to make it bad. That's what Black means, to be bad. It means death in science. So we can't make Black good. We can't allow it to be because it's not.
Okay, now let me ask you this. Here, Elia. And this question is rhetorical, because I respect your viewpoints, education, research as you have done. What do you think of the Black Panther Party using the Black Panther as their symbol? Now, according to Dr. Huey P. Newton and his revolutionary suicide, the reason why they had used the Black Panther as their symbol is because the Panther is a defensive fighter, and when it is cornered, it would annihilate its enemy absolutely, completely, and unconditionally. Okay, and what is your viewpoint on that, sir?
Okay, my viewpoint on that is if you're using the Black Panther and there is a Black Panther, you're using the Black Panther. The Black is foul when it comes to people. So, for example, when you read the United States Census, the definition of races in the United States Census, it tells you that there is no biological, anthropological, anything that has to do with human and bio studies. That's not the reason that they're using those terms of Black, white, African, American, Native Indian. They're not using them based on people. It has no foundation for us, for being. It is a political status, not meant for us. We are a nation. Everybody on this phone right now who is not us can tell us what nation they are and or from, except us. We're the only ones who will say Africa. And in Africa, there's over 52 nations. There's hundreds of nations. Which nation are you from? This is the question. And if you can't answer a nation, then you cannot prove that you are a part of the original people. If you can't prove you're a part of the original people of the earth, where did you come from? You're a belligerent, you're a minority.
Well, actually, sir, I actually can definitively answer. I can definitively answer that question.
May I make
I can make a definitive answer to the question that you asked. I mean, a definitive answer.
Okay, Sarge, and then we're going to go to the Alaskan, okay? Because I believe the Alaskan was trying to get in there.
Man,
okay,
I know,
so
but I'm just saying, I have had 3 DNA tests done because I didn't trust DNA testing, frankly. I wanted to see if they all would agree. So I had 3 different DNA tests from 3 different samplings. So that, like I said, I didn't have any faith in it. And to the extent that it can confirm what I know of my family's ancestry, it matches almost precisely. It matched up with what I know of my genealogy and lineage. And my DNA sample shows that I have DNA from the ethnic regions, the regions now, where this DNA is most concentrated according to the Human Genome Project from Senegal, Nigeria, Ivory Coast and Ghana, Benin and Togo. But I also have DNA from the ethnic regions of Ireland, Wales, Germanic Europe, France. Oh, by the way, Mali, Norway, England, and Northwestern Europe. All of these people have contributed. Wait a minute now. Let me finish. All of these people have contributed directly to my direct ancestral line, whether I want them to be there or not. It is a genealogical fact. Remember, one more thing. I'm almost finished. Let me finish, please. Let me finish. One more thing. Again, wait a minute. One more thing. I'm almost finished. Again, all of these DNA tests agree on every one of the regions. They're all the same. The only distinction is a slight differentiation in the percentages.
Sarge.
But the bottom line, though, here's the bottom line. The bottom line is I am a natural-born citizen of the United States of America. I have no doubts whatsoever what nation my allegiance and my loyalties belong to. For me, that is fixed and immutable. No matter what anyone else says, I am a natural-born citizen of the United States of America.
Okay, Sarge.
Despite all of those genealogical distinctions.
Okay,
so
Sarge.
The United States is a corporation. It is not a country. It is a business. It's like Microsoft. So you are.
Yeah, it is. No, you're right on that. Yeah,
well, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. I think I am a citizen of a sovereign nation that has existed as a sovereign nation since July 4th, 1776. That's my belief. I don't require anyone to share it.
Okay, Sarge. Okay.
But when people say that, I look at you and I say, okay, that's what you said. I'm not arguing with you. That I know that you are a United States citizen. Now, as a United States citizen, you also consider yourself a Black and African American. So if you don't join the system and bad things happen to you, the rest of the world, we already see, they're not getting up to fight for you. They're not getting up to fight.
I don't expect them to. I don't expect them to. They shouldn't.
But now watch this, Sarge. Watch this, Sarge. Let's not deal with you or any one of us individually. Let's deal with the collective. And we see right now what's going on between Russia and that other little country. Oh, you got people speaking up. Israel and Pakistan. You got people speaking up all over the world. But no one has ever spoke up for us in these manners, held rallies for us around the world, and they can't. They will be considered belligerents over there in them other countries and go to jail. Well, I'm not going. And then when people when people leave the other countries to come here, they take them into these rooms and they show them films about us and they tell them not to mix with us because the Blacks and the Negroes don't mix with them. It's an agenda against us. And when we help fulfill it, we help fulfill it by claiming to be United States citizens, Black African Americans, when we don't have to by law. Now, Brother Shabaka'S, I gave you in your messenger, I gave you the video with Obama, Hillary Clinton getting up there talking about the first nation to recognize me was the Moorish nation in 1777.
Okay.
Can you please send that to Saul so he can see that video?
Yeah, but there's no nation on the planet that will issue me a passport to travel anywhere in the world other than the United States of America. Not one single country, even one that will report to speak for me, will not issue a passport to me to travel anywhere on this planet except the one of which I am a citizen.
That's not true. The Moorish nation, and let me ask you this: what's your last name?
Anyway, a passport that's internationally recognized. Where did I get this?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But Sarge, what's your last name?
Penn.
Like Penn State.
Yes.
Penn. Yo, you know what that tells me? You know what that tells me about you and your family, Sarge? That you are originally here, even with all that other blood, because of Penn, Pennsylvania, Penn. Your family is the Penns. So when we first start reading American history and what turns into United States history, and we read about the Penn family, well, we always said Jesus was black. They painted him white. The Penns were black. They painted them white. The Montgomerys were black. They painted them white. Everybody, Washington and everybody, Abraham Lincoln, they were all brothers who got painted white. We don't know.
Okay, now, El Okay, tell me, El if a person with blonde hair and blue eyes is my brother, and I don't mean no disrespect, I'm not being facetious or anything like that. I'm trying to learn something here. Okay, tell me why somebody with blonde hair and pale white skin and blue eyes is my brother.
Okay.
You have the floor, El.
When it comes to knowledge of the Creator, I won't use the word God. I'm going to say Creator. I do not want to get lost in religion. When the Creator created this magnificent thing of earth, who can really tell the truth about who was placed here, when, where they got here, and how they are here today? No one. So then, therefore, in the family of humans that we see walking around, if they're not doing you evil, their features don't matter. The only thing that matters is the content of their character. And that's
okay, now let me ask you this.
Shabaka, I think you would be amazed to discover the number of people of however we choose to identify races that you are actually related to. If you have a genealogical study, you will be amazed whether you like it or not.
Sarge, okay, if I'm related to one of them bastards, man, I will slap the shit out of them and say,
and you're going to have to do a lot of slapping, and I can guarantee you're going to have to do a lot of slapping. You're going to find it out.
I'm not in my 20s anymore, Sarge. I do like you.
I understand that. I'm telling you, you're about to be either amazed or sorely disappointed, sir. You will find out there's nothing you can do about it. They are part of your bloodline, whether you like it or not.
That, Sarge, and I hate to have to tell you this, that is bullshit. It's because
you ain't got to believe it. The evidence is there, and it's scientific. It doesn't matter whether you like it or not. The evidence is there, and it's scientific.
Discussed about the motion picture Mandingo of the raping.
You can do that all you want, man. That is precisely the reason why. And you simply want to reject it because you don't like the idea. You're rejecting it because you don't like it. Not because it isn't true.
These are facts, is what I'm talking about.
See, that's what I mean. La, 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 la. I don't want to hear it. La, 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 la. That's what you're doing. That's what you're doing.
Sarge, why is it every time, Sarge, that you are more than welcome to come on this platform because we need you here? One thing about you, Sarge, I will give it to you. One thing about you, Sarge, there's never a dull moment with you. Now, because you know how to work that napkin holder, man, I'm afraid of you. Yeah. Facts. And plantation rapes. Facts.
But wait, that's not completely true either. That's not completely true either. That is one form of the relationship.
90
we
seconds.
Don't know about white slavery and how our people held Caucasian slaves. We don't know that because we ignore that. The history is ignored.
Yeah.
When I tell you that we ruled Europe, you need to check into that
yeah.
and then look at white
yeah.
slavery, and you will see Asian people as slaves.
Okay, yeah. Let me explain something to you.
60 seconds.
Now, I know what you're saying about the Moors, and correct me if I'm wrong, sir, because I have the highest respect and regard for you. Very intelligent brother, very knowledgeable brother. But if we do disagree, like I try to tell Sarge, and although Sarge violates it every time, if we disagree, let us disagree agreeably. Okay. Now, the fact of the matter is, had it not would have been for our ancestors who were brought here in chains and chattel slavery, living under some of the most barbaric and heathenist conditions during the passage. Now, Sarge, Joe Gibson and them were saying, then of course I want to hear from the Alaskan of what he has to say. He's been very, very patient, so we're going to give him the floor for a minute because we're in overtime, and don't nobody hang up. Please do not hang up. Okay. Yeah. Why would me, as a black man, will go up there in Northern Europe and sit up there and mate with these Taylor Swift, no ass, no breast, no coloring, white females. They didn't even believe in feminine hygiene, man. It was Ethiopian women that showed them feminine hygiene. Why would I mate with them? Why would I go up there, have to pinch my nose is because they did not believe in washing their funky asses. Why would I screw one of them broads, brother? You got the floor, and tell you what, I'll tell you what I'm going to do, before you speak, because I'm very interested in what you have to say. Guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to mute out me. Now, where's me at on this board?
Okay. So the reason why we did it was for some, money, first of all. Second of all, the interest in something different than yourself. You didn't see a blonde hair, blue-eyed woman, and all of a sudden she come walking up, and you can't say that they all ugly. Some of them Caucasian women are just as beautiful as our sisters. And I can name a few. At Lauren Bacall as an actress, beautiful. I can name a whole
baby. Okay.
Lauren Bacall. So when we seen it, we were attracted to it, just like they're attracted to ours. So that's the reason why, because they was attracted. Once they took a bath and our sisters helped clean them up, they was beautiful. They learn how to speak our languages and communicate. Come on, man.
Why would our beautiful, lovely queens with that curvature and that lovely coloring and that beautiful kinky hair would sit up there and want to bathe one of these tramps?
I didn't say, I don't mean that they bathed them. I mean, we taught them how to bathe, right? Isn't that the
how to wash their funky asses. Yes, sir.
How you put it is how you put it. Because, listen, there's parts of our history, man. You go into it, you'll find us being cannibals. You'll find us being bloodletters. You'll find us being murderers in different ones of our family camps. So there were different ones of us who were living in the same condition that we're now saying those Caucasian people lived in. This is not
Okay, you're familiar with Dr. Marimba's Ioannis writing called the Urugu, are you not, and about the Ma'afa?
No, sir. Not when you ask me like that. If you start talking about it, I might remember some stuff, and then, I remember that teaching. Because a lot of
Dr. Ioannis. As you know, that Dr. Ioannis was a student of Dr. John Henry Clark. And for her doctorate degree, she had went to the continent, commonly referred to as Africa or Kibalan, or ever how you wish to call it. And she submerged herself in the culture for 15 years. Now, when our African nations, Queen Amina of Zazzau, which is modern-day Nigeria, Her Majesty Queen Hatshepsut, the prisoners of war were incorporated into the winning nations. We didn't go up there, man, and put them up there and cut off their private parts and put it in their mouths and stuff like that. the white males did that on the plantation system is because they had feared the white woman wanting to get laid by the black man. And Ken Norton played in a movie called Mandingo. And then heavyweight champion at the time, Muhammad Ali, had stated on the Dinah Shore show is that you will not see me playing in any movie of standing up there with some Caucasoid woman who's going to come up there and grab me in a manner like that. And Mr. Ali was pretty much saying the only film I want to do is The Greatest My Own Story. Other than that, oh, and he also did a miniseries called, oh, Lord, this is what happens when you get old, shit. Freedom Road on NBC and what have you. They'll say, but when we speak about of our true history, rather if it's the Moorish doctrine of Brother Elia, rather if it's the Pan-African perspective, they always refer to us as black races. We don't own no fucking banks. We don't own no major industry. We don't own no major agricultural farms and what have you, where Gates is putting all these damn GMOs on, okay? So we are in no economical position, sir, or political position to enforce any type of quote-unquote racism, but we want to get Ron Reckon here and the Alaskan. I'm sorry, and let the Alaskan go ahead and comment. He has been very, very patient. Okay, go ahead, Elyas, and we're going to go to the Alaskan is because we are in overtime and we want to have a complete ending of this show so they don't cut us off in mid-sentences and what have you. Okay, Alaskan, are you there, sir?
Yeah, the gentleman who was talking about what country you're from, you know, and stuff like that. I have a correction for him is that you guys, you know, the blacks and including the whites, you know, we're all tribal, you know. So it's what tribe you came from, not a country, because tribes been split up between countries. You know, so that's a little technicality in there and stuff. Countries were formed in Africa, I would assume, by the white man because of colonization and who owned what piece of property. All right.
Okay.
So it's not what country you came from. It's what tribe you came from. And
okay, well, let's say the term nation, Alaska, not cutting you off.
If it's like, huh?
Okay, let's say nation is because a lot of the nations were nomadic. Now, have you ever heard of Miriam Makeba, Alaskan?
No, ma'am. No, sir. Ma'am. What am I
Miriam
talking about?
Makeba. Okay. Miriam Makeba, she was Xhosa and Zulu, and she was a singer in the 1960s, okay? As a matter of fact, we played one of her records called The African Sunset, you know, in our introduction right there. And Miriam Makeba was banned from South Africa is because of her stance on the apartheid situation. And then she finally went back to South Africa, or Azania, which is the true name of the place. And they kept her landlocked there. They would not let her leave the nation. And she was married to Kwame Ture, formerly known as Stokely Carmichael. And she had stated, now, Sarge, you're going to disagree with me again, okay, but Sarge, you're Sarge, okay. And she had stated that when they had passed down the history, it was done orally from what was commonly referred to as the griots. And the way how that there would work is that the griot would announce about every 2 or 3 years that, hey, I'm coming down here to recite the history, okay, and whatever you want to know, get your notepad, your tape recorders, or whatever, because once I'm done, I'm done. And this individual will sit there, Alaskan, for 72 hours and recite the history, and he will not repeat himself, not one time. Yes, it's because I had went on another podcast, and this individual wanted to debate with me that Elon Musk was an African. He was not an African. He was a Boer. And, of course, we all know what a Boer is. You're safe. Okay, so what is your take on that there, Alaskan?
Well, you know, he's a Boer. That means that he is of Dutch ancestry that was most likely born in South Africa. All right.
Okay.
Just like you, Shabaka, you are a Black African, but you were born in the United States. So what does that make you? You know, you're just a black. You're an American. Hey, listen. You're an American that happens to have black skin. All right. Now, I have been coming to your shows for, you know, quite a while, and may not get in the chat room, but we'll sit there and listen. And you and I have had some pretty good. You and I have had some pretty good discussions on some other shows and shit like that. And you know, the thing is that, you know, if we do DNA testing between you and me, I'll bet you somewhere in there we're going to find out that we're brothers anyway. All right. Okay, and I'm a white boy. You know, I'm a white boy. And I consider, you know, you're there with all your African history, which is I'm learning from it, you know. And history is something history is something that we all need to know, because we need to learn from it. All right. Okay. And the thing is right now is that, Shabaka, you come across to me, all right, to me as an angry black man because of the history. Well, you know, the thing is, and you were stating that the black man was the first people to inhabit the earth. Well, I don't know that. And I really, and tell you the honest to God truth, I really don't care, because that was so fucking long ago. But right now, I consider it like this. I don't know when your birthday is, and I don't, you know, I know when my birthday is. One of us is first because of our birthday, of our age. That's how far back I will take being the first person here. All right. Okay. And I mean, you know, but the thing about it is that we have a lot of history behind us, both black, white, red, yellow, and everything like that. And we have all the races in all of the world in this one country. Now, the thing about it is we, with all of that history behind us, you know, that's in the past. There's nothing that we, you, me, or anybody else can do to fix it. But we can go forward with a better plan so we don't repeat that shit. You know? Okay, now I'm gonna tell you something, Alaskan, and I appreciate, you know, what you're saying and things of that nature there. But there's an old African proverb. It's the concept of Sankofa, and it's like this. Going back to tradition is the first step forward. If you ever saw the film Amistad, which was based on a true story about, what was his name, Brother Che? My age is catching up with me, man. Sin Q. Yes, Sin Q. Yes, okay, Sin Q. Yeah, okay, Sin Q. Okay. Who was captured as a slave. He was the king's son. He was of the Mende. Okay. And his case went before the U.S. Supreme Court. And Matthew McConaughey was in the film along with Morgan Freeman. And I think Anthony Hopkins had played John Adams, if memory serves me correct. Okay, and so what it was is that they asked Sin Q, what inspired you to have the revolt
on the Amistad and freed your brothers out of the chains, okay? He had said he had called upon the power of his ancestors, okay? And that there is very, very important, okay? He led a revolt. He did not sit there and say, I got a dream. Well, he went there, and he rightfully so, to preserve him and his people, he went on there and he killed these MFs. And then the U.S. Navy saw the Amistad off the coast of, what was it, Brother Che? One of the Carolinas, I believe. Okay, so the U.S. Navy seized the ship, okay? And so then you had Morgan Freeman playing a house Negro, okay? And I was kind of sorry to see Mr. Freeman play such a demeaning role, in my opinion. Okay, but to make a long story short, the judge of the U.S. Supreme Court had ruled is that they do have the right, you know, to go back. But as far as these slaves who was born here, they are still our property. And that is my closing comment on that. Okay, we go to the Alaskan, then we go to El Ya.
Here, you know,
yes, sir.
Here's the thing. Okay, you say the white man doesn't stand up for you, but it was John Adams who stood up and defended him and his right to do that. Okay.
Okay, that is a fact. Yes, sir, that is a fact.
Okay, so you know, don't be getting all over the white race because of that, because a white man defended him and got his freedom, stuff like that.
Okay, now Alaskan.
You know that.
Okay, Alaskan. Let me interrupt you.
That's a little piece. That's a little piece of light in our history.
Okay, now Alaskan, to give you some more ammunition against me on that one, we have to notice another fact. Have you ever heard of Viola Louiso?
No.
Okay.
No, that's why. Listen, that's why I come to your shows.
Okay. Now, here's the thing about Viola Louiso, okay? And we would be wrong if we didn't mention Viola Louiso, because me and Brother Che, who's our co-executive producer, we spoke about this. Viola Louiso was a young white woman from Detroit. She worked with Dr. King in the civil rights movement down there in the great state of Alabama, where you had old frog face up against mine. Okay. So what had happened was she was driving along the road with two other civil rights workers because Dr. King could not get a hotel room. So when they made the march from Selma to Montgomery, okay, Brother El Ya, okay, she was driving back and forth to civil rights workers. They got pulled over by the police, okay. So what the police did is that they murdered all three of these individuals in her car, and they were buried up under a dam, okay? And I would be morally wrong if I did not mention Viola Louiso and some whites who did perish during the civil rights movement. Now, keep in mind, Alaska, to have proper perspective, and I'm sure El Ya would agree with me, and please let me know how you feel about this here, El Ya. Okay, because they always tell you the civil rights movement, but you also had the Blacc Empowerment Era, and that had started with the Black Panthers, okay? So then what had happened is that the Black Panthers had embraced a Marxist doctrine. Then what had happened is that you had a splinter group from the Black Panthers called the Black Liberation Army. Now, this should be of interest to you. There's a woman in Cuba by the name of Assata Shakur, okay? She made the perfect jailbreak, okay? And the Queen Mother, as we refer to her as, has been granted asylum in Cuba, okay? Barack Obama, during his administration, had got up there and said that we are doubling the price of the bounty on her from $1 million to $2 million for the capture of Assata Shakur. Now, Ms. Shakur has stated in 1997, was it, Brother Che, that where she had stated that if she was ever to set foot on American soil or in American territory, the FBI and the powers that be have orders to shoot her on sight with orders of shoot to kill. Is because she was wrongly convicted, and they said that she had killed a New Jersey state police officer. And the Queen Mother has always had stated is that she herself was shot, and she could not have shot this individual. And then, not to mention the fact that one of the New Jersey police officers did in fact state that Ms. Shakur was innocent. You see what I mean? So what about that?
Hello.
Say, you. Yes.
Hello. Yeah, I don't think you do, because you don't want to hear what I got to say, apparently.
Go ahead, Sarge. Go ahead. Go ahead and say what you got to say.
I've been waiting for an opportunity to refute what I had said earlier. Now we've gone on a lot of different subjects, because you didn't give me a chance to elaborate. I just made a general statement saying that my DNA is inextricably intertwined with people of, quote, other races, unquote. Now, I didn't say how it got there, because there are a number of ways it could have gotten there. One of which is the rape of the slave masters. Now, but to give me an example to show you why it cannot be. You won't let me finish. Here's why I got to talk so fast, because you interrupt me so quick. Okay, so again, this is one method by which it got into my ancestral bloodline. But as a famous case that you just alluded to moments ago, Muhammad Ali's maternal grandfather was a Celtic white man from County Cork, Ireland, who married his maternal grandmother. He married her. In other words, Muhammad Ali would not exist were it not for a marriage of a white man with a black woman.
That's not necessarily true, Sarge.
Oh, stop it. Stop being nuts. Come on, now you're being anti-scientific. Will you stop it, Shabaka'S?
That's not exactly true.
Yeah, it is exactly
true.
Shabaka'S, can I finish? Can I finish, please?
Go ahead, Sarge.
Good Lord, man. And you said all these things. All right, so again, as a matter of scientific fact, if you remove any ancestor in your direct bloodline, you don't exist. That is science. It's got nothing to do with opinion. All right, so let me finish.
The hummingbird, Sarge.
Stop it. All right, let me go on to the next thing.
Okay,
Barack Obama was president of the United States. He didn't have any authority to pardon Asaga Shakur or Joanne Chestnut, however you want to describe her. He had no authority to pardon her. Okay, whatever. Okay, fine, whatever. So I'll just say AS. He had no authority to pardon because it was federal crime which was committed. But as president of the United States, he had the duty to enforce the laws of the United States, which is interstate flight or international flight to avoid prosecution, which is what she did by breaking out of jail and going to Cuba. So he's got to enforce that law. And if she comes back in the United States, he has to see to it that she's arrested and adjudicated. Now, one more thing. If the FBI gives an order to shoot her on sight, I don't give a damn what she says, that is an illegal order. That is an illegal order that no agent should obey. And if they're caught doing that, just shooting her on sight without cause that she presents an imminent, deadly physical threat, they have created an illegal order. They have carried out an illegal order and committed murder. So even if that order does exist, it is illegal.
Sarge, we're talking about John Edgar Hoover, who was a practicing homosexual.
Don't tell me that they said that. I didn't say it out loud.
Okay, now, Sarge, I got a flurry for you in response to that one, my man. I'm going to put it into you. Let's look at
They didn't say it out loud, man. They did. What they did is a secret order.
Hold it, Sarge. Let's look at the case of Patricia Hearst. Patricia Hearst, who was kidnapped by the SLA. Patricia Hearst participated in a bank robbery in San Francisco in which a person was shot and killed. And under California law, that made Patricia Hearst be eligible, Sarge, to be prosecuted for murder in the first degree under California law.
But not shot on sight.
Whoa, Sarge, hold on. When they found Patricia Hearst, they put her in jail, right? Okay. But guess what happened?
They didn't shoot her, then, did
Jimmy Carter. No. They didn't shoot her, Sarge. But guess what, Sarge? Jimmy Carter, the peanut farmer. You know, the old guy, man, who is so old and decrepit, man, he doesn't even know his own fucking name. He signs a full pardon.
She was convicted on a federal crime of bank robbery. He had authority to pardon her. She was convicted federally.
Okay, but Sarge, in that bank robbery, a person was shot and killed, and under California law, if you participate in a crime, directly or indirectly, and someone dies, rather if they had a heart attack, you stuck the gun in my face, drops dead. Under California law, that is murder in the first degree. Now, take it up with that old senile bastard Ronald Reagan. Take it up with that other sack of shit by the name of Gavin Newsom. You know what I'm saying, Sarge? You know, that's all what I'm saying.
The state of California chose to commute her sentence. The state of California chose to commute her sentence on those charges. You're right. Take it up with Ronald Reagan.
Okay, and that old senile bastard may rest in piss. You know what I'm saying? Okay, but Sarge, and also too, I want to say to all our listeners, because we're in overtime, I'm going to ask everybody to give their closing comments. Is because we want a complete episode. Joe Gibson, is always a pleasure having you, although we disagree agreeably. Alaskan, thank you so very, very much for coming on, and we appreciate you as well too. Ron Reck, hey, it's always a pleasure to have you, because Ron Reck, you know, he's another controversial individual. We appreciate Ron Reck. Okay, and then of course Joe Gibson, you dropped out the conversation, and we don't know why, because me and Joe Gibson, you know, we've been going back and forth for a few years. He's been on this platform, I've been on his, where I believe Sarge and I had got acquainted, and then we're gonna go down the line with the closing comments. Those are my closing comments. We're going to go to El Yah for his closing comments. Then we're going to go to the Alaskan. And then we're going to go to Sarge, because Sarge is long-winded. And beware, Sarge knows how to work a napkin holder. You know, okay, and what have you. Okay, and then, of course, we got to go to the closing comments of Brother Che and Krumah. Okay, so those are my closing comments. Okay, El Yah, please give us your closing comments, sir. And thank you so very much for joining us.
Okay, thank you for having me. Thank you for doing this. I'm gonna go a little bit backwards. He said that we be tribes, not nations. Most of us believe in the Bible as the beginning of time, and since that beginning of time, God has always blessed who? Nations, not tribes, not villages.
Okay.
God blessed nations. So that's proof that he's wrong in what it is he is stating, especially if Jesus was one of us. Then who was God talking to when he was making promises to nations? He was making them to us. So we've always been nation and national. And if you go to Kush, Kemet, Abyssinia, any one of them names, you find nations. Thank you. Not Mayan, Olmec, Cherokee, you find nations. They have the thing before the Constitution called the Agreement of the Five Civilized Nations. Those were the Aboriginals, our families here, that came up with this written agreement amongst ourselves before the Constitution that they copied the Constitution off of. In 1750, I can show a grandfather, and Shabaka, with the way you talk about slavery and stuff, and Sarge, we all know that a slave master would not give a slave anything to make the slave feel like the slave is better than him. My grandfather's name in 1750, his name was Caesar. And we was in the Spanish the Indian War. The way they tell the story, we was in an Indian war, and so they ended up finding one of these dark-skinned people wandering by themselves as a child. His name was Caesar. His name wasn't Caesar. He was Caesar. And we know whenever you conducted war, your royal house kept the slave. All royal houses, even our people did it. We kept their royal houses as slaves. This is where our families begin to intermix with all the other families and how other people got to be royal with us because we were intermixing with them. So they kept Caesar. But then if my grandfather was Caesar, then that makes me Caesar, don't it? It only serves to follow on this land, not another land, not Rome. If we study everything now, you find out they're saying Egypt is here in the Grand Canyon. That's all a part of it. See, we cannot let go of these things just to have for the sake of a conversation or the sake of just saying something. We have to keep all of these things retrospective because when you tell me you got a DNA test, I'm telling you they cheated. Because of all the when did they start getting the information from the DNA test? In the 1900s? They cheated. By the time the 1900s come, everybody settled in particular areas, so you're going off that. No, we have to go thousands of years back to talk about our DNA. But to be safe on our side, we can prove that our families were in if there's a earth, we were there. If there's an ocean, we were there. Prior to what we call 1492, we were there, known as a nation. So, Shabaka, I'm going to ask you, can we sit down and schedule a show where I'm going to bring like 3 or 4 other people with me, and one of the people, we're going to make it an interactive show, because one of the people is going to bring all the laws showing that the United States Corporation and where you can go find
tell you
that.
what, El,
Sarge, don't miss the meeting, Sarge. Don't miss the meeting.
And El,
Yes, sir.
Okay, El, and if Brother Paris or Che Nkrumah, if he concurs, man, you could guest host that show. Do you have a problem with that, Brother Che? Can he guest host?
Okay.
Okay,
yes,
then would you host? Okay, would you host, Brother Che?
Okay, I texted to you in Facebook.
Okay, yeah, you would have to get the clearance from Brother Che on that there, El. If he says yes, I have no problem with it, but he is the co-executive producer, and he does contribute a great deal to this platform. So, Brother Che, that decision will rest with you. Okay, now we're going to go to the Alaskan for his closing comments, and then we're going to go to Sarge. Okay, so Alaskan, your closing comments, sir. And thank all for joining us, even Joe Gibson, although he dropped off. Okay, Alaskan, your closing comments, sir, and thank you for joining us.
Okay, I'm going to give back when I said tribes and nations. All right, because it's like the Cherokees and whatnot. They were considered a nation or a tribe, or a tribe and nation. It's kind of interchangeable. I'm sorry I picked the wrong word for that comment. Those comments I made earlier. I meant no disrespect or anything, but they're kind of interchangeable to a point, but that's all I got to say. And as far as all the DNA bullshit and stuff, I did a Google search one day on my name, on my last name. Okay. My last name is McPhail. I spell my name with an F. I spell my name with an F. There's a ton of McPhails out there that spell their name with a PH.
Okay.
All right. But I looked at my spelling of my name. I don't know how or why, but I came up with about 20 names, 20 different McPhails out there. spelled the way I spell my name. Okay.
Okay.
And I found that there was probably 60-40 mix between black and white.
Okay.
And the there was more black McPhails spelt my way than there were whites. How did that happen? I don't have a clue. All I could think of is somewhere along the line of there was a marriage and the name was given, and on the black side they had a higher birth rate than on the white side. I don't know.
Okay.
But I don't. But I don't care. That's nothing to me. All right. They're McPhail. Somehow, somewhere, we are related through either one person, two people. I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Just like you and me, Shabaka, we have different viewpoints and arguments and stuff. But I bet you if I ended up somewhere in Vegas and I run you down, I bet you and I could go out and have one hell of a good time. Well,
who knows, Alaska? Maybe we might go over here, man, to one of these casinos and say, "Come on, 7-Eleven."
Yeah, that would be just fine. I mean, I have nothing personal or anything like that, because we're all here, and we all argue, we all yell at each other. We're a fucking family. Families yell at each other all the fucking time. And we're all family. You made the comment about the red, green, black, or whatever flag not flying higher than
green. Yes, sir. I did the red, black, and green, the RBG.
But the one thing that each and every one of us have is we all live under the stars and stripes. No matter what our no matter what our histories are, no matter what our grievances are, we all live under that one flag. Well,
right. Oh yeah, Sarge. Sarge. Closing comments, Sarge.
All right, yeah. Let me get through it real quick. Okay,
Sarge.
Let me get through it real quick. I ain't got much time. Okay, first of all, DNA was identified in 1869 by Friedrich Meiser. He identified it and called it a substance called nucleine, and he believed it contained some sort of code for hereditary variation, but he could not quite exactly illustrate as to how it worked. It was James Watson and Francis Crick who discovered a double helix structure of DNA in 1953 and were able to identify how it contributed and was linked to hereditary inheritance. That was what it was in 1953. And that's the reason I had 3 separate DNA tests on to see if they would confirm each other, and they did. Now, but that's neither here nor there. That's going to take a lot of discussion. I'm prepared for that discussion anytime you're ready. I just like to say this. Let me finish. I get the point. I'm getting to the point right now. And that point is that we are all intertwined genetically, whether we like it or not. We have nothing to do with it. We are not to blame for it. I could not pick my mother or father any more than you could, or any of your direct ancestors, however they got there. The sin, if they committed sin in their past, it's on them. It's not on me. I'm not ashamed of anything that makes me what I am because I'm very happy to be what I am. I have utterly no shame about any of it. If there's any shame, that devolves upon others, not on me, not upon any child, even one who's born of rape. They are separate individual human beings from the sins of their parents. And that is the way we need to look at this all the time, every time. There's no reason to be ashamed of any of it. You are an individually unique human being by virtue of your birth and by virtue of the fact that no other human being will ever have precisely the same genetic structure that you have. You are unique, and so are all of them.
Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. Yep. Yes, sir. Right. Okay. Okay, Brother Che. And we appreciate that there. I'm not cutting you off, Brother Che, is because with this here being the X-Man's birthday, as we commonly refer to him as, we're going to go out with one of his clips to the end, and it's Malcolm X, the House Negro, and may the minister rest in peace. And this is his 99th solar return. And in any given situation, to quote the great Bruce Lee, take what is useful, leave what is useless. This is Malcolm X.
To understand this, you have to go back to what young brother here referred to as the house Negro and the field Negro back during slavery. There was two kinds of slaves. There was the house Negro and the field Negro. The house Negro, they lived in the house with master. They dressed pretty good. They ate good because they ate his food, what he left. They lived in the attic or the basement, but still they lived near their master. And they loved their master more than the master loved himself. They would...
PM. Same. So, but there's a house representative get income in flooded city. I'm called I'm downtown. Sorry,